Hello and welcome to the Placeholder NPCs podcast, where we play various tabletop role-playing games, of which we will no doubtably get the rules incorrect and toe the edge of a complete TPK. This episode marks the first season of our Deep Space campaign setting, Dark Cosmos, which uses the Scum and Villainy system, a Forge in the Dark role-playing game produced by Evil Hat Productions, and will follow the story of three spacefaring scoundrels as they rise up to rebel against the controlling factions. Now before we dive right in, let me take a moment to introduce you to my placeholder NPCs for this campaign, starting with Dush.
Oh, hey everyone, I'm Dush. I am the one who will never ever remember the rules.
Which may be a common thread across all my players here, including this wonderful man. And the second placeholder NPC, we have Lex.
Hello, that's me. Hi guys. I'm Lex, and Douche totally stole my thing because I have no idea how to play any of these games, so I'm winging it the whole time.
And lastly, the third and final placeholder NPC for this campaign, a man of many words, we have Sam.
Yeah, my name is Sam, and I like to party.
And it would be rude not to introduce myself. My name is Xeno. I will be the game master for this campaign, here to adjudicate the rules, make up the law, and suffer through the shenanigans brought upon by these three lovable idiots. A little bit of housekeeping. We will be jumping straight into the action with this one, which means we will be skipping some of the activities that would normally get performed prior to our NPCs going on to a job. And those two activities are selecting their load limit, which indicates how many inventory slots their characters will have, and performing an engagement role, which takes into account some of the work they do prior to set up the job, and is kind of like a luck thing to see how well or how good off they are when the job begins. We'll do them a little bit differently. I'm going to have each character roll their own engagement role for this session, as opposed to doing a single group roll, and we'll do that as we introduce their characters. With that, let's dive into Dark Cosmos.
Pew Pew!
The Aurelia sector. For nearly 80 years, I have led as its concord out here in the distant reaches of space. Its denizens, once captivated by my very words, now I am no more than a figurehead managed by the Council of Five, nevermore to walk aside my peoples, a prisoner to the devices that adorn my bedside, as is my vows, my role, my visage, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, concord, till death do us part. We open up to a news broadcast. You see a gentleman in slick back hair, bit of a bushy beard, shuffling papers, and in the little lower thirds you see the name Zeke Weatherall, Concordant News Network. Once again, the Concordant Council have been recalled back into session to discuss the ongoing military blockade that has been imposed between the Koroid system and the Bashil Quadrant. In a rare turn of events, the Concordant News Network has been given access to report directly from the Citadel, as we cross live now to CNN field correspondent Sandy Tate. Sandy, what seems to be the current state of affairs there on Citadel? And we see a field reporter, a middle-aged lady, long auburn hair. She's rugged up, it seems to be an outdoor setting. She's got a microphone and she's reporting back. There's a little pause in the delay, so you kind of think there is a bit of distance between the two. Hi Zeke, I am currently reporting live from the Citadel as it orbits around the Burrow's planet here in the Bashil Quadrant. Now, it's important to note that even though we have been granted access to the moon, it is not without strict security protocols. As you can see behind me, Zeke, the military force is on high alert as the Concordant Knights await to escort each of the 5 appointees to the Concordant Council. Tensions are also running as further talks seem to suggest, in lieu of recent activities, a tightening of security around the jump gate to the Koroid system is top of the agenda, and can see additional limitations being placed of any and all travel between the two systems. And the news broadcast continues on as we pan out a bit to see this has all been in like one of those small CRT televisions just mounted up on a wall in probably the dingiest of government offices you've ever seen. It's got those like faded lime green paint on all the walls, fluorescent lights just emitting that soft buzzing sound, rings of telephone echoes from cubicles, cutting across muffled sounds of shuffling papers. There's the sound of a copy machine going and just the clacking of computer keyboards. The place we seem to be in is known as the Concordant Archives, a government facility in the Pangata system where important documents and low security artifacts are sent for processing and storage. We move from our TV broadcast past these cubicles and towards the back of the office space, lined with those big chunky metal filing cabinets that stretch from floor to ceiling. More cubicles. We move further back into a bit more secured section where there's a tempered glass window sits in front of what could be described as a vault, but it's more of a set of storage lockers. And Sam, standing out front of this secluded space, could you please introduce your character?
Yeah, sure. So my character is Algernon Kentucky Blue. Algernon was essentially always had a bit of a fascination with the mystical precursor artifacts specifically hold his interest. He's been on the frontier more often than not in his life, and he has had a bit of a shady past, getting tangled up doing jobs for the syndicate for one reason or another. But now he finds himself as maybe the field medic with the koi fish. He's pretty tall, slim, wearing a relatively clean suit pants, shirt, little vest. He's quite tidy. Maybe some just framed glasses as well, just to really lean into that nerd look. But no stranger to getting out and doing the dirty work himself.
And what playbook are you playing today?
Yes, so as the medic, playing as the Stitch.
Now, let's pick out your load limit for this job. So you've got 3 options here. You can either go on into this with a light load, which is a bit more inconspicuous, a normal load, or a heavy load, which is then like really full-on rugged. You kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Now, each of these will give you either 3, 5, or 6 inventory slots to draw upon in this as we go through this job. In Scum and Villainy, we don't have to pick your inventory up front. You can mark them off as we go, and these slots will determine how many things you'll be able to draw upon as we go through the job. What kind of load do you think Algernon would start with?
So I think, given the job, his role in it is to essentially, get inside the vault and retrieve the artifact, he has to get in quite deep into the archives. So I think being inconspicuous is key. So he's probably going traveling light, I think.
Light. Cool. And when we say deep in the archives, we literally mean it. You were about, I want to say, 15 stories underground at this point. So there is no natural light here. It's just all overhead fluorescent bulbs. Let's get us kicked off with your engagement roll. Can you just roll a d6 for me and let me know the result?
Sure thing. I've rolled a 4.
A 4. Alright, that is a mixed result, so you're going to be starting in a risky position.
Excellent.
Alright, so, Algernon, you're standing out the front of this windowed area. You've got I'm going to assume a stolen pass in your hand, and there's a little terminal next to it. As you tap on to try and open this door, beep beep, beep beep, doesn't seem to be working.
I look down at the pass I have, and I breathe on it and then rub it against my my vest and try it again.
It still doesn't seem to be letting you in. You've either gotten a pass, it got you this far, but maybe this person doesn't have access to this extra area.
Okay. I just kind of stare at the pass for a second and let out a deep sigh. I then look around me to see, just kind of get a lay of what's around me.
So, again, you're in an area that's pretty much storage at this point, storage and filing cabinets. There doesn't seem to be any people around, so you're kind of secluded at this point. If you head further back, you'll end up into the offices and cubicles area where there is a few more people bustling around doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
Next to the door is a little service hatch for the electronics. Looks like it might feed back into that touchpad.
Mm-hmm.
And just some extra doors off to the side leading to extra areas just around the vaults. Looking up in the ceiling, it's got those paneled ceiling tiles, so they could easily be pushed up and moved if you wanted to. And there's a bit of an air vent duct straight down the middle.
Okay. Well, I'd say that Kentucky's probably not going to be inclined to crawl through a vent as his very first option. How far back are the cubicles where I could be expected to find other employees?
Let's say maybe 10, 15 meters. They're just beyond the next wall.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this is like the vault is essentially the most locked down place in this entire archive, right? That's the idea.
From what you've seen so far, this is one of the most secure places in the archive. Now, we're not talking big bank vault secure. It's just more access prevention. You don't get into this area unless you have the clearance, but it's not fully locked down with big vault doors.
Okay. I'm going to try. Yeah, I think Kentucky's going to go ahead and check, have a little look around. Who around this area and the employee area back that way, who might have a pass with better access? And I think what he's going to do is he's going to try and lie his way in. Is there anyone at a glance that I can see has probably got that kind of access on their pass?
I reckon you can probably clock a few people that might have access. They seem to be a bit more holding of themselves, so that you can pick out a manager person that's going around and just telling other people what to do. There's a young gentleman. You kind of get the feeling it's his first managerial job from what you can see. He's got the very crew cut hair, tie, white shirt, black pants, and from what you can see, he's talking down to a couple of the people near him while standing tall himself.
Mm-hmm. So talking down as if he was in charge of them, or talking down like he's degrading them?
Little column A, little column B.
Okay. So he seems quite, I guess, rigid, but self-important. That's the vibe I'm getting.
That's the vibe you're getting.
Okay. Yeah, Kentucky thinks that this kid is probably his mark. He's going to wait until he's done barking orders at his lesser staff members. And he's going to walk on up and stand up straight, clean his glasses, and address this young man, saying, "Oh, you look like somebody that could probably help me out. You look like someone very important down here.
Exactly, that's what I've been saying. Do you hear that, Cindy? This gentleman gets it. I don't think I've seen you around here before, my friend. You from R&D upstairs?
Sorry, how rude of me. And I go to shake his hand and say, my name's Trip Faulkner, and I'm actually I'm from a third party that essentially inspects and verifies most artifacts that are housed within the Concordant Collective as a whole, actually.
Oh,
And the honest thing, the pass that they gave me just does not seem to open up the archives themselves. I've gotten this far, but it's quite embarrassing, and I don't want to have to walk all the way back up to reception. I don't suppose you could possibly just help let me in. It would be incredibly helpful.
all right. This is definitely an action roll here. What action skill do you think you were using for this role to try and convince this gentleman?
Well, I was thinking it falls under sway. Is that correct?
Yep, that probably sounds right to me. Now, with Scum and Villainy, there is no technically right and wrong skill to use. You can use any of your skills to attempt any kind of action roll.
Mm-hmm.
If you can justify to me how it works, we'll roll with it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like Kentucky is essentially playing on this young man's sense of self-importance, and yeah, just trying to sway him towards believing that I actually am some sort of inspector for precursor artifacts.
All right, how many dice do you have in Sway?
So it's the amount of triangles, right?
That's correct, yep.
So that's yeah, got 2.
2. All right, now you do have the option here with an action roll to add more dice to this pool. There is Gambits, which is a shared resource between your crew, which you currently have 2 of. Or you can decide to push yourself to try and go the extra mile to get that extra dice. Or potentially take a devil's bargain, where I will give you an offer. If you take it, that offer will happen whether you do well or not on the roll, and continue on from there. This is a risky roll because obviously you're not meant to be here, and I'm going to give you a standard effect out of this. So you're going to get a pretty average result, which is around normal for most action rolls.
Okay.
Did you want to try and gain any extra dice on your roll?
So just remind me how this works. Oh, and for the people at home, obviously, mostly for the people at home.
Definitely not us. No.
And Deshaun.
For the people at home, so with an action roll, you will put together a dice pool of d6s and roll them. You will take the highest result out of all those dice to be the result of your roll.
Yep.
If you gain a 6, that is a good result. Full success, no complications. If you get a 4 or a 5, that's going to be a mixed success, you can call it, or a partial success. There may be a complication occurred. You might have reduced effect out of it, so you don't quite get everything you want, or something else might happen. And 1 to 3, things kind of go badly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're saying that since I got 2 dice in sway, I roll 2 dice. That's it. That's the total, and I can choose to push myself to get 1 more dice.
Yep.
Except a devil's bargain, which you will give me before we roll.
Yep, I'll tell you what that is. So you've got all the outcomes, or you can decide to use a gambit, which is your shared crew resource.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay.
We only have 2 gambits, correct?
Correct.
Yes, I don't think I want to use a gambit right now, but since this is very important, I think I will take 2 stress to push myself. So I get a 3rd dice.
Awesome. Mark those stress on your character sheet and give me a dice roll.
Alright. Pray for me, lads.
Never.
Okay. Well, I rolled 3 dice. My largest roll in those 3 dice was a 3.
Ooh, buddy. That is rough.
Bad dice.
All right, so from a risky result, things go badly. You could suffer harm, a complication occurs, you end up in a desperate position, or you lose this opportunity. I think in this particular case, we're going to make a bit of a complication happen. As you're having this conversation, this gentleman doesn't quite seem like he's buying your story. I'm going to start a suspicion clock. This suspicion clock is going to have 6 segments to it. With this one, I'm going to fill in 2 segments of that clock to start with.
Cool.
If this fills up, they're going to call security. And we'll deal with that complication when it happens.
Cool.
Alrighty. The gentleman turns to me and says, well, I swear we were just audited last week. Papers were all in order, everything was fine, but he kind of just has a squiz you a badge and goes, okay, if you go down the corridor, speak to Janine up at the reception desk near the elevators. I'm sure she can help you fix your pass. You'll have to excuse me. Carol, I said I want those paperwork on my desk tonight.
As he loses interest in me,
Oh, buddy.
I just quietly like, oh, yes, Janine, thank you. And I just slowly saunter off, heading towards his directions to Janine's desk.
Yep, definitely. So you start heading off towards the elevators that are on the opposite side of the room, and I think with that, we will pan out a bit and move on to and introduce our next player character. We pan back up into the ceiling through the air vents. Camera flies up.
God, the camera goes up.
15 stories of air vents. Pans. We see a couple of way rats just skitter past. We zoom past one of those like propeller fans that's blowing air through and circulating the air. Then eventually the outside. The change in noise is odd. Here in the vacuum of space, there is no sound. All the clacking, the typing, the skittering just fades away into nothing as we zoom back out to see the side of this building. Tall, rugged, and built into the side of a large asteroid.
Fuck, it's actually kind of cold now.
The Concordant Archives is the only building here on this asteroid that orbits the sun around the Pangata system. In the background, there's small spacecraft just
That's cool.
flying by, and we move up to the rooftop. There's radio towers for subspace communications, arrays listening for that TV signal that we witnessed earlier, and we come across a pair of hands over the edge, lifting up a body. Dush, could you introduce your character for us?
Yes. As the camera kind of pans onto me, you see a very large, almost rotund polar bear. Very heavily furred, 8 or so feet tall, kind of standing there with basic jewelry around their neck. At times seems to shine gold, but also looking more closely, many of it probably is plastic and just colored as such. Yeah, you kind of see him just steadily standing around with the bodies at the moment, doing things, yeah.
Awesome. And your character's name?
Yes, sorry. His name is Rook Ferris.
And what playbook are you playing today?
And the playbook I am playing today is the Mystic. I'm in touch with the way.
Now, same questions as I gave Algernon. What load level would Ark be having?
Ark will be going for a normal load level.
Awesome. Alright, so here on top of the archives, can you give me your engagement roll?
Yes.
So just roll a single d6.
Okay. It is a 3.
Oh, you guys are making this just way too easy for me.
Where's the fun in acing it, honestly?
Alright, buddy, you are currently in a desperate position. You see blaster shots just firing up into, I don't want to say the sky, it's just off into space as a couple of soldiers down below are shooting up at you.
Getting a pretty good idea of where they're coming from, just in general, from below. I'm going to attempt to sort of scamper my way away from the fire, potentially knowing where the koi fish is as well. Not go directly towards it, but aim to take a bit of a round path back towards it if I need to.
Yep, definitely.
For now, just leading them away.
So there's a huge arrangement of these like satellite dishes that you can duck and weave in behind. Now, you've also got the payload in your arm as well. That's why you're up here, trying to find the best place to put that payload.
Ooh. Do the satellites look like they're on sort of articulating arms to adjust with the pattern of the days as well?
They do. They seem to be locking onto a signal and just following those signals where they can. They're very gradual movement. Can't really notice it from the human eye.
Okay. I'm wondering whether I'd be able to actually maybe use a hack roll to sort of reprogram and then reposition them in such a way that they could block off a pathway that I've come through from, make it a bit harder to get towards me and make it harder to get anywhere near me, really.
That sounds like something we can do. If you'd like to make that a hack roll, so you rip open a side paneling to get into its electronics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So a hack roll.
Alrighty. How many dice do you have in hack?
I have just the one in hack.
Alright, so don't forget you can try to push yourself, so take on some stress and get an extra die. You're more than welcome to spend a gambit from your crew's stash, or maybe I can give you a devil's bargain.
Ooh. We'll try just a straight hack roll for now. Let's see how we go.
You are currently in a desperate situation here,
Oh, yep.
so just let you know if you fail, that is probably the worst outcome you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you a standard effect out of this.
Oh, does standard effect affect my roll at all, or just still roll as I would?
No, this is just like what you get from the outcome.
Okay. Okay.
You're going to get a normal outcome if you succeed.
Okay.
Single die roll. Give it to me.
Oh. I'm assuming it's good because I rolled a 5. I mean, it's not a 6, but it's not bad.
You rolled a 5. Excellent. So there is a consequence. You're either going to suffer harm or a serious complication.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this particular case, as you're rifling through these electronics, now these are cables and telecommunications stuff. You don't notice one of these security guards climbing over the side,
Mm-hmm.
firing their blaster pistol at you. I'm going to give you a level 1 harm,
Yep.
grazed blaster shot.
Oh, okay.
With your character, you have 3 levels of harm that will complicate things as we go.
Yep.
There are 2 level 1 slots, 2 level 2 slots, and a single level 3.
Mhm.
There is a level 4, but that is fatal and will generally mean we'll have to retire your character if you take that on.
Okay.
In this particular case, you've taken on a level 1 harm, so add that to your character sheet, and then going forward, while you have that harm, you will get less effect out of your situations. So in this particular case, if we redid it, instead of having a standard effect, you would have a limited effect, so you'll get slightly less out of your situations.
Okay.
But you're able to hack these satellites, and you're able to point them down just as they come down. That blaster shot nicks past you.
Ooh, I just managed to sort of unsteadily stumble my way past as I dodge some of the shots.
Yep. This is the vacuum of space, so it's not like Star Wars, it's like
Mm.
pew, pew, pew. This is just completely silent. You can just see the sparks flying off this satellite dish as those blaster pistols are hitting into it. Are you running? Are you staying? What are we up to?
Now that I've kind of lost sight of them, or they've lost sight of me, I'm going to attempt to try and find some higher ground while trying to keep out of sight. If I can,
Yep.
maybe dip through a sort of opening or a building of some sorts and try and find my way to scramble up to a couple of higher floors.
Sure. Let's say there's a service entryway airlock that you can jump into,
Mhm.
and you're in a corridor. There's exposed piping on the wall. Follow that through. You get to those like big metal staircases and lead you up a couple more floors back onto another roof.
Excellent. Can I just listen out and see if I hear anyone that may have potentially heard me, potentially following me up here, or have I successfully avoided them?
At this point, you've successfully avoided them. They are still on the look for you though, so they're not going away.
Mhm.
But for now, you are alone on the roof.
Perfect. I'll pull out effectively a bundle of wires and other sort of hardware that I may have procured once I got here, and just start bundling that together and start piecing together roughly a 2 meter by 2 meter board with a bunch of wires, cabling, cylindrical objects plastered into it, all pointing in the same direction. And I'm sort of slowly just preparing that as we go.
As Ark wires up, places these things, we're going to zoom back out again into the void of space till we come up to a large spacecraft that kind of looks like the shape of a koi fish in a way. We zoom in through one of the windowed openings into this very large. What size ship do you guys have? I should know this. Corvette-sized ship.
How dare you forget how big my baby is?
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. And we come across our last of 3-player characters. Lex, could you please introduce your character?
I am Voel Burung. I am a Avali, little male Avali. I'm brown. I am the pilot of our wonderful, wonderful ship, and this thing is, as to me, as my child. I like this thing more than I like the other members of the crew. And please continue to call it the koi fish, because I very much like it when we call it the koi fish.
Is that not the name? I thought we just decided that was the name. Is that not the name?
Did we actually
Yeah,
agree on that
I
being the
assumed
name?
that was the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kept
It sounded
calling that
perfect.
'cause-
Why not?
Yeah.
Why mess with perfection?
Yeah, it's much cooler than the Fire Drake, which is, I think, what the thing's actually called.
Lex, what playbook are you playing today?
I'm the pilot. I am a pilot.
And where on the koi fish are we finding Voel?
I am in our the ship loading bay, where we have where our shuttlecraft can come in and out of the ship, and I'm sat in there with the loading bay doors open, and I am currently there waiting for my cue.
Did we describe what your character looks like?
No, so I'm a little bird. I'm an Avali, which are essentially like little birdmen. I am quite short, just shy of 5 feet tall. I've got a relatively slim yet muscular form, and I have like almost flight feathers coming out of my forearm up until just above my elbow. I am mostly brown in color, whereas my feathers coming off me are white.
And you said you were short, but we know there's shorter. As you're waiting for your signal, this smaller creature that resembles a cross between a tardigrade and a koala bear, very short, cute, forearms, and a deep midnight blue fur, comes up to you and goes, "Alright, Val, we've got most of the things set up. We'll have the jump gate coordinates set and ready to go once the crew's back on board. Is there any other things we needed to take care of before this all goes down?" This crew member is Triv.
Triv! I love my little buddy. Alright, good work, Triv. Good work, Triv. We've got, as far as I know, everything is going smoothly. Can I hear the blaster fire?
No, this is the vacuum of space, so all you're hearing is dead silence.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
I would say you could probably see them,
Yeah.
these little blinks of light just going straight up into the sky, and you know that's not the payload.
Looking over like that's probably bad, but it's not here, so I'm cool with it. As long as I do my part fine. Like, we've got the ship. If they screw up, we can just fly away. It'll be right.
Triv turns and goes, "Excellent, well, we'll be down in the engine room," and as you look back over towards the doors leading into the ship is a second one of these creatures with a deep maroon fur coloured, and this is Trell. Trell signals with his hands a bit, which you would know is a form of sign language. The two brothers head off into the bows of the ship back to the engine room. Now, Vol, what signal are you waiting for?
That is a good question. At this point, I'm probably expecting the payload being like what I'm looking for to be like my cue to like really get going, which we've established is. Have we actually established what the payload is?
Well, let's bring in another mechanic here and do a bit of a flashback. I'm going to give you this flashback for free. Normally, that's going to cost you a point of stress, and it will let you go back in time to set up events that are currently occurring. Let's flash back to the crew in the landing bays of the koi fish. You've got Ark packing these pieces into a container of some sort. What is Ark packing into his pack?
Effectively, I'm packing a whole bunch of sort of jerry-rigged fireworks, a lot of cables, a bit of gunpowder into smaller containers, a couple of technical devices, so like with screens and communicators and things and stuff like that have sort of been ripped apart and jerry-rigged. There's sides of them missing. There's cables running in and out of them, all back to this big bundle that I am slowly and methodically packing away mostly to be careful, but also not fully paying attention or not fully there, so to speak.
And I think Trell's there helping you out. They've brought over part of it for you to pack in, and then they sign to you that, yep, once you've got this going, fire it off. And Vol, what's the go once this fires off?
Alright, so once the fireworks go off, Ark, you're going to be up on the top of the building still.
Yes, yeah. I'll kind of sign back to Trell like how much time I've got to get away before it all starts kicking off. Just to confirm that. But yeah, my aim will be to get to high ground to get away.
Yep, so I will be... The Corvette class ship would be too big to navigate to like pick him up from the roof of the building, correct?
That is correct, but luckily you have a little shuttlecraft that you can use instead.
Yeah, so I will, when those fireworks go off, I think the plan is for me to fly up to you, and I'll be nearby to where you were, so you can basically like climb into the shuttle from while I'm in midair.
All right.
Because I'll have the side opening open enough for you to be able to just hop in.
I'll keep an eye out and jump at it when I see you.
Just head due. Would we use northwest, east, south on an asteroid? I don't actually know.
I feel like cardinal directions may not work in space. I guess we're getting into the gravitational side of things.
Just go left. Go left from the fireworks.
Left. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Go
will
left from the
100%
fireworks.
Go left. Yeah.
I'll find you.
Yeah.
Back to the Future. Vol, you know exactly what your cue is. You've got your view of the radio dishes there, and you're just waiting for it to go off. I think with that, we're going to cut back inside the archives, back with Algernon, who's now over at the reception desk.
Yes. So he is heading back to the reception desk, but he might be trying a different approach, perhaps, seeing as attempting to talk his way in has just essentially sent him on a detour. I guess he might try it one more time. Maybe he can be a bit more charming this time around. But this goes south, or what? We don't use cardinal direction in space. But if this goes, badly.
If this goes left, yep.
If this goes left, then he's probably going to be done talking and is going to have to start making some faster movements, because obviously that suspicion meter is rising. So, saying all that, Kentucky's going to give it another shot, new mark, fresh start, and he walks up to the reception and just glances over the desk. Janine, is it?
Yeah, 1 second, and you see this old-looking, probably mid-50s, that's old, isn't it? Avali, she's a dark-feathered Avali. It's clearly showing signs of age and greying. Crow's feet, which you didn't know could happen in an avian-type species. And she's just like, yep, alright. So the freighter's coming in. Well, make sure you clear out the loading deck. We need all those spaces cleared. Nah, by 6. Yeah. Alright. Toodaloo, love. Can I help you?
Oh, what a charming voice.
Why, thank you.
Yes, Janine.
Although I think you might be a bit young for me, sweetie.
Well, have to take a shot. Yes, you understand. Look, Janine, my name is Trip Wagner, and I'm here to audit and just verify the safety of the precursor artifact you have locked up in the archives there. And darndest thing, the pass that we have that was given to me, just it's got me this far, but unfortunately was not able to open the archives. One of your fine employees pointed me in a direction, said that you might be able to help me out. Is that something that you'd be able to do for me?
Let me have a look at your pass there, darling. And I'm assuming you're going to hand over your pass for her to check out?
Yes, I will hand over the pass.
Luckily for you, these are nondescript passes. This is a government facility, so there's no indication of who the pass actually belongs to on the pass itself. Because, security. Janine takes your pass, gets up, and just heads into a little back room and starts tinkering around on another computer just past the door. Are you going to wait for her to get back, or do you want to try anything fun in the meantime?
Yeah, look, I'm going to look around. Is there anybody... I mean, do I have eyes on me? Is there cameras? What's the...
You see a little blinking light up in the corner. You don't think there's anyone else that's actually paying attention to you, although there are people just nearby, at their cubicles and stuff.
Okay.
You don't think you're being tracked, but there is this little camera just scanning on the desk in front of you. Janine's left her terminal unlocked as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the little tiny CRT pictures of the security cameras throughout this level.
And do I see any pointed at the inside of the archives?
I think, give me a study roll for this one. Normally I don't dictate what the rolls are, unless you got an idea otherwise. I think this might be a study roll to investigate these cameras.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think there is really much where I could swing it elsewhere.
I will say for the roll, I will put you in a controlled position because Janine is not currently right there and you're kind of in control of the situation.
Yep.
And I'll give you standard effects.
Okay, well then in that case, I'm just going to stick with the 1 dice. And I rolled it off the damn table. Hold on, I'm going to use a different dice. Okay. 5.
Excellent. So with this one, you hesitate a little bit. Your choice, you can withdraw and try a different approach to this. We could have a minor complication. We can give you reduced effect. And the other option here is some kind of lesser harm. But I don't think you're in a point of getting injured here. I'm going to give you reduced effect on this one. So you're able to peek over and you think there might be 2 or 3 potential cameras just watching that vault area, but they're sweeping. So there's a small fraction of time, you think, where that vault is not being watched by a camera.
Okay, interesting.
With that, Janine comes back and goes, they don't make these things like they used to. Damn technology. Here you go, love.
Take the pass back off of her and say, thank you so much for your patience with the newer system. I appreciate your help.
Don't worry, love. Don't know why they install these things. They're just a bunch of issues. And I think she leaves you to your own devices.
Given that information as well as the reinstated pass, I'm going to head back towards the place where I started, that terminal outside the archives. Kind of a little more, I guess, confident in keeping off the cameras, or at least keeping off of getting found out straight away, seeing as she does not seem too tech savvy to begin with. Have a vague idea of potentially a blind spot, so better than nothing, I suppose. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try swiping my new pass on the terminal.
You head right over there, you walk through the back, tap on your pass, and blink, doors open and let you in.
Excellent.
As you step in, you notice immediately it kind of has a bit of a different smell in this area. As a scientist, you probably get the idea that this particular part has its own air circulation, which, it kind of makes sense for vaults and security stuff to be fully separated. Up on the wall, you just go through the kind of the doors here. 1, 2, vault number 3. Tell me, do you think you got the passcode for this thing?
I would assume that given we have a pass, even though it didn't necessarily work to get us all the way there, we did a bit of our homework. We knew at least that, there were going to be these terminals we needed security passes to get through to. So I would hope that we at least had an idea that there were going to be passcodes to each of these vaults.
All right, let's continue on with that previous flashback. Back on the koi fish, we kind of zoom to maybe a terminal on the side where you're just searching away, and I think you're able to pick up different combinations. Definitely have a passcode come up for you.
Nice.
So you're saying that's in the that's in the flashback that's happened? So I have the passcode already, or is this?
Yep, definitely. I think in that flashback, you've done the research, right? You've hacked into some mainframe to search through possible combinations and the location. For whatever reason, the passcode is 0002.
Easy to remember. Yeah.
Easy to remember, but not as unsecure as 0001. So they've definitely doubled their security here on this passcode.
Very helpful. They've had at least one security blunder, or it's been 30 days. Okay. Cool. So able to open up this vault, and what do I see inside?
Beep 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 beep. Ka-ching. Vault opens up, and inside is the artifact that you've come in to retrieve. It is I'm going to say half-meter in length cube, obsidian in color on every side, and it kind of resembles a Rubik's Cube, 5 squares by 5 squares by 5 squares. As you pull it out, you're expecting this thing to be heavy. Like, it looks like it's made of, like, obsidian, but it doesn't seem to have any weight to it at all. But if you, let go, it's still affected by gravity, as if it had that weight. Pick it up again, it's not resisting you from the gravity.
Okay. So how big did you say it was? You said it was
It's about half a meter, so about 50 centimeters.
50 centimeters. Okay.
So it's a cube.
Okay. I'm going to say that I've got a communicator on me as one of my items.
Definitely do.
So, that's no cost as well. Cool. As such, I would assume that since Voel is on the ship, Ark is probably the only one that's within range for this communicator, hence our payload to signal him. So I use the communicator to speak to Ark.
Go right for it.
So I switch it on and say, Ark, come in, you there?
Bit of silence for a little bit before Ark responds back, a little bit out of breath and like they're not really focusing on the conversation, but they're responding. Yeah. How's it going? Are you almost done?
I've got my hands on it, yes. How's it looking on your end? Is the payload ready?
Yeah, ready to go, I believe. 30 seconds? Almost there?
30 seconds.
If you need it.
I look at my watch. 30 seconds. Yes. All right. On my way.
All right.
And I'm going to say I can move around freely within the archive, but as soon as I start heading to a different floor, that's going to be an issue.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Looking around, they did have the elevators at the front. Towards the back, there is a kitchenette kind of area that leads into another storage area that could lead into service elevators. Whether they go all the way up is a different question as well.
Okay, I think I'm going to use this opportunity to spend a stress for a flashback.
Certainly can. Mark your stress, and what are we flashing back to?
I think we're flashing back to our initial planning of this heist and looking at the floor plans. Yeah, as you said, yes, the service elevators do not make it all the way to the top, but they do make it up within 5 floors of the top, and we know, well, we had planned it so that essentially, due to a quote-unquote chemical spill, that floor is deserted, for the day at least. Is that something I can do with a flashback?
That is something you can definitely do with a flashback. So mark your stress, and you head straight back to that service elevator. Ding! Doors open, and you step out into a floor that is completely empty. And I think, Ark, you would probably know about this too. So I'm assuming that was communicated across everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm not sure if I can add this in after the fact, but during the flashback I would have pointed out where I think the best places for the payload would have been, just so that they know that if I have to go to a backup spot, I would. But then they'd kind of see that in relation to the floors that they're hoping to head out of.
I think with that payload spot is this same floor. So I think it's all kind of was merged into, we'll clear the floor out, get the payload on this floor, signal Voel, and get the hell out of here. Now, you did have to flee that spot, so you were a couple stories higher.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 3 stories above where you need to be.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Has Kentucky relayed to me that they've gotten to that floor, or no?
I would say, well, since you said 30 seconds to be ready, so yeah, I assume when I reach the top of the floor, I will communicate that, yes.
Okay, sort of absent-mindedly mentioning that when you get there, hey, Kentucky, actually, no, left, right, head straight and up a couple more floors. I'm just a little bit higher. Keep an eye out. You might see some guards and things like that And there should be some a satellite or two that are kind of tipped over a little bit. Don't worry about them. They're fine. They're fine. Just see if you can make your way past them and up a couple floors.
I sigh deeply, and I just say, we are talking about this later. And I switch it off.
And you just hear me mumble, sure, no problem. And just, again, absentmindedly going back to whatever I was doing.
With that, are you going to be exiting out onto the roof here?
So, to be clear, like, we're within, like, an atmosphere, right?
Very thin atmosphere at this point.
You don't need spacesuits. Like Ark, for example, doesn't need a spacesuit to be where he is.
No, Ark does not have a spacesuit on at this point. Or does Ark have a spacesuit on?
Ark does not, but Ark also assumed that within these buildings, the suits weren't needed.
Yeah.
So he does not?
Okay. Then yes, probably would be exiting on the roof.
As you open up that door to exit onto the roof, there's a set of 3 guards standing on the other side that turn to you and go, hey, this floor's meant to be closed. Let's see your pass and badge ID, please.
So, recognizable medic garb as a no-cost item for the Stitch. So essentially, it's just like an outfit with the seal, right? With the medic seal.
Yeah, definitely. Will you describe to me what it is, and we'll go with that. If you want it to be that kind of like doctor's lab coat with the medical seal on it, we can definitely do that.
Well, I was thinking the seal might actually, because I said that I was wearing essentially like suit pants and like a dress shirt and a vest. I was thinking maybe if the dress shirt itself had a patch on like the front pocket, currently hidden under the vest, hence able to lie about being an auditor. Under my vest now, I could show off that I am actually a medic, well, at least medically trained. Is that fair to say?
That makes perfect sense to me. Yep.
In which case, I stick with my same false identity, or at least false name, but change my occupation. So at least this time I'm only half lying. I say, gentlemen, Dr. Trip Wagner, what are you doing here? You are clearly aware of the chemical spill. Were you not told to be guarding at least twice the distance you are from here?
Yes, Doctor, we are fully aware of that. They had a bit of a incident up here on the roof that we were investigating, but at the same cost, I believe that exclusion zone also applies to yourself.
I appreciate your concern, sir. As you can see, I am a medical professional. I do know what I'm doing. I am perfectly safe. That being said, I would very much like to not see any other employees of this fine institution fall gravely ill, and it's not a pretty way to go. So as soon as you can, I would highly suggest you get down to a different floor.
Alrighty, I think this is going to be another action roll from yourself. What are we rolling?
Okay. I mean, I guess I could technically be a doctor role, seeing as I am pretending, well, I'm not even pretending, I'm being a doctor.
Yeah.
Still lying, but using my medical knowledge to do so. That being said, I've already used 3 stress.
Out of curiosity, sorry to jump in there, can I assist Kentucky with this?
Sure. Describe to me how you assist, and that will give you'll mark a stress, and then I'll give a die to Algernon.
Ark is going to kind of come stumbling out with robes wrapped around themselves, not worn, but literally tied around themselves like a hoodie that you tie around your waist at school. Some sandals that are kind of wedged onto the tips of his ears, looking haggard as all hell. Just kind of comes stumbling up being like, Doctor, am I not meant to be up here? Was I not meant to be here?
I feign surprise and concern. It's like, this Jaguar is highly contagious. He's just exuding it.
And I'm just hacking and coughing away.
Yeah. Everyone, stand back. Stand back.
Love it. Take the extra die. Arc marker stress for me.
Yes, I will.
And this will be a risky standard roll.
Okay, so that risky standard. All right, come on. I need to pick my dice carefully. Some have betrayed me in the past.
Now you know how I feel.
I usually go with the square ones.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Wait, they're not meant to be triangles? Mine are like caltrops.
But all of mine are cubes.
We may need to start again.
Okay, my highest is a 5.
Highest is a 5. Alright, that's a mixed success. There is a consequence. You're either going to suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. I think at this point, it's been about 30 seconds, right?
Oh yeah, shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, could someone please describe to me how your payload goes off?
So you kind of hear just this massive whirring noise at first, and then just see smoke billowing out from where I stumbled out of. And then all of a sudden, looking around and looking outside, you see fireworks shooting off in every direction until a good. I mean, at this point, we're covered in smoke. We're surrounded by smoke and stuff like that coming out of that corridor that I was in. You see in the sky, I guess what would count as the sky on the moon, out in front of all the buildings, is this what looks like a crudely drawn orange fish that's somehow been pieced together with different fireworks just joining together to create the shape of a fish. And honestly, it just looks like a child's drawing. And they just see that exploding and noise and debris is scattering everywhere from that corridor and from the smoke behind us.
Alright, I think from that smoke cover, that gives you a bit of cover to flee back inside as these guards are coughing. Wait, that's the resistance members! Get them! Chase after them!
As this happens, I'm going to grab Kentucky's arm and just say, "Go left!" and just bolt in there.
Voel, you see this stunning display of fireworks going off on the roof.
That's my cue, boys. And Trev, start the ship. And I get into the shuttle, and it's already started, ready to go, and I fly it up to my left of the building, which is not necessarily their left of the building, but I go to my left of the building that I saw the fireworks come from, and that's where I'm flying up to, as quick as I reasonably can.
I think by luck that have it, left is left in this situation because you've got the complication of guards chasing you down through the building. As you're running through the cubicle spaces, there's blaster pistols going off. Your next goal is to get to a clear roof section so that Voel can sweep down and pick you up. As you're running through, are you doing anything to try and hinder these guards from chasing you?
Ooh.
Once I'm clear of the smoke and I'm not sputtering anymore, I can see where I'm going. Obviously, Ark is not holding my hand the entire way.
No, just to pull you in there initially.
Yeah, well, as we're running, I am going to pull out a weapon. Essentially, it's like a high-tech version of those police batons you can kind of flick out, but thanks to this world with such advanced technology, quite solid hit. So yeah, probably about the weight of an actual police baton. And I am seeing maybe it's some pipes alongside the roof, either supplying I assume water or steam or something to that effect, maybe some sort of gas. Just kind of rolling the dice on this one to see, hopefully, if I smack it hard enough and tear into it, that whatever comes out will help hinder the ensuing guards.
I think, yeah, you see these pipes that just marked hot steam, do not hit underneath it.
Oh, and English too. That's helpful.
Yeah, totally. What type of skill do you think we're rolling for this one? I think I'm probably leaning towards maybe a scrap.
Scrap seems to be yeah. I feel that's probably the only thing I could justify there.
How many dice do you have in scrap?
I have none. So what does that mean?
In this situation, what would happen if you don't have any dice or you have a negative number of dice? You will be rolling this with the equivalent of another RPG game's version of disadvantage. So you would roll 2 dice and take the lowest. And it's important to note that you cannot crit on these 2 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a 6.
If you want, you can push yourself to get the bonus dice. I may have a devil's bargain for you. Or don't forget you've got gambits to spend as well.
That is true, but I also have a special ability as a Stitch called I'm a Doctor, not a blank, and it says that I can push myself to roll my Doctor rating while performing a different action.
Oh, nice.
All right.
So I have to say which patient research or posting taught you this trick. So the only thing I have to do is try and figure out how this exact action was somehow taught to me in my medical training.
All right, hit me. What have you got?
Okay. I'm going to say that I actually learnt this from a patient who was a plumber who did not wait for the heating system to be turned off for long enough before he started trying to work the pipes. And hence, he got scolded by steam, and that's what he was in clinic for.
I'll take it. He was explaining to you the points he was hitting to try and loosen the pipe, and you think you can hit a similar spot here on these pipes.
Yeah, he hit the joint a little too hard. He warned me that that's where they come apart a lot easier.
So you've got 2 Doctor Dice on this one. Don't forget to mark a point of stress.
Yes, pushing yourself is 2, isn't it?
It is 2 stress, sorry, yes. How are you going on your stress meter?
I have 5 stress now. Very stressful.
You're about 3 minutes away from a heart attack.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Alright, this is a, I'm going to stick with risky standard type roll.
Alright, so we've got 2 dice for this. Okay, I rolled a 4.
Rolled a 4, so there is going to be a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, or you get reduced effect. Oh, you end up in a desperate position. Ooh.
I'm already feeling pretty desperate. Wouldn't want to beat a dead horse.
I think you wait for the moment for those guards to get just close enough that steam's going to have damage to them because it's hot. You give it a whack, steam comes spewing out into the hallway, it just fogs everything up. You run back, turn a corner, you're both there, and you're into a locked door. Bolted shut here. And now you're in a desperate situation.
Good deal.
As the guards are just down around the corner trying to get past the steam.
How solid does this door look?
It is a door to the outside, and considering outside is space, it's a pretty solid door. Think like those big, heavy, like fire emergency doors.
Okay, how large would you say this door is? For example, table-sized?
I could say that it would be door-sized, yes?
If possible, I'd like to sort of pull the door and fling it at the guards using my Mystic's special ability of kinetics.
Alrighty, I love it. How does this look?
As Kentucky's kind of like managed to get the steam vents to drop down onto those chasing us, I kind of see what they're attempting to do and assume that, oh, maybe we just need to add some more fuel to the fire, and I start looking around for computers and other electronics and things like that to sort of light a spark. But then as we round the corner and we see a locked door in our way, I kind of just muttered, oh, screw it, and just you kind of see my hand reach at the door but kind of dissipate partway between myself and the door, and then all of a sudden you see me yank the arm back and the door just crumples at the corners and goes flying past us directly towards them.
Alright, let's get an action roll here.
Cool. I'm not sure what I'm rolling for this.
Alrighty, what have we got? I think this might be an attune roll if you're using the way to manipulate this door.
Oh yeah, good point, yeah.
Alright, so you have how many dice in attune?
I have 2 attune.
You have 2 tune.
2 tune.
Let's see, I think I have a devil's bargain for you if you want one.
Well, out of curiosity, with it being an attune roll, but it also is using my special ability kinetics, it says I can push myself to do this objective. Does that mean I also add an additional dice to that? 2 to a 3?
No, so this is using the push mechanic to take this option.
Ah, okay.
So with your push, there's a couple extra things. So we've been using it so far to just get extra dice. You can push yourself to get more effect as well, or you can push yourself to perform these special actions.
Okay. What is a devil's bargain?
So in this case, I'm going to give you an offer. If you decide you want to take the offer, this offer I give you will play out, whether your dice roll is a success or a failure, but it does give you the extra dice. In, I think, this situation, I think the vacuum difference between what's outside this door and what's inside is going to be a bit different. So as you fling this door to the guards, I think it's going to suck you and Algernon straight outside.
I mean, that does sound like a good time, and I do like intermingling with the way, so yeah, I'm going to accept a devil's bargain.
Alrighty, so Devil's Bargain is locked in. You have an extra dice to your roll.
Sweet.
And it is a desperate standard roll.
Cool. So how does that play out with what I roll? I pick top of the 3? Or the highest of the 3, I guess?
Highest of the 3.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Thankfully, the lowest was a 4, with a 6 being the highest.
Excellent. How many 6s did you get?
Only the 1.
Only the 1. Alright. So, in this case, if you do get multiple 6s on a dice roll, that is a critical effect, and you'll gain extra stuff off your rolls.
Dang.
In this case, the rules basically just say, you do it. So, as these guards come around the corner, you see the strain in your hand, and the rivets on the door are just shaking, and they just go flying off, knocking these guards back. In the same time, that vacuum difference of air sucks both you and Algernon out the door into a partial vacuum of space. There is still oxygen, but you are now on the side of a building. What are we doing next?
Looking around, do we see our shuttle anywhere?
I think coming down, Voel's probably got the shuttle coming around in place. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel like at this point I would have had enough time to get around to the left side of the building.
Yep, definitely.
Like, just seeing the wall explode and these guys come out.
And you see, two bodies just go flying out the side of the building. What are you going to do?
The two bodies, can I tell it's them?
Yeah, I think so. One looks like a giant polar bear and the other's a humanoid figure.
Alright, I am going to try and intercept and catch them mid-suck.
This is definitely an action roll. We're going to bring it down to a risky standard. What would you like to roll for this?
Oh, this is definitely a helm roll. All day. Yeah. My sheer skill of piloting is what I'm relying on here.
Alright, so as the little shuttlecraft comes zipping down, do you want any bonus die for this one?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna push myself here for the bonus die, I think.
Gonna push yourself?
Yeah, because I'm going, like, in my head, I've got, like, the Fast and Furious, like, drifting the shuttle to, like, scoop them up across the building.
That's so good.
I love it. Now, if you want, you can also use a gambit to gain a 4th dice to this.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because I feel like if I screw this up, I'm gonna hit them. So I feel like the group would be okay with me using one of our 2 gambits to not crush them with the shuttle.
Yeah, more so than being crushed. Yeah, no, take the gambit.
Yeah.
I can take the hit, it's fine.
Take both gambits, please.
You got to use one at a time. Alright, you got 4 dice on this one. Give me your roll.
Alright, big money. That was really, really bad, but I got a 4 as my biggest roll.
Oh.
I rolled 3 1s and a 4.
Oh. Jeez. Never touch my dice.
Alright, we have a 4. You do it, but there's a consequence. We could suffer harm, a complication occurs, reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. You know what? Never tell me the outcome of your results unless there's 6s. I think with all those 1s, we're going to put you in a desperate situation.
Lexi will never talk again.
Am I able to resist this?
You certainly can. So this is another mechanic we've got where you can resist the outcomes of these and kind of reduce the effects. Did you want to hear what outcome I was going to give you to start with before you decide to restrict it?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think in this case, as you've flung around, you're able to hook Arc into the shuttlecraft, but Algernon doesn't quite make it. But Arc's able to reach out a hand, grab onto Algernon, who's now dangling from the shuttlecraft, and Algernon's also then holding onto the artifact. Would you like to try and reduce that to something a bit better?
Yes, please. That is way too scary.
Alrighty, so let's have a look at your stats now. Alright, well, it was a helm roll, so let's make it prowess.
Okay,
prowess roll.
So that's my prowess is 2.
Can I attempt to assist this as well by kind of using my weight to make it easier to move the craft closer towards Algernon? Leaning into the whole Fast and Furious of it all, I'm going to lean into it and help us get closer.
Let me double check. Give me 1 second to look up. You know what? I'll allow it. If you mark your stress, I'll allow it.
Yep, done.
So you get an extra die on this one.
And I also have Ace Pilot, which I have potency on all speed-related rolls. When I roll to resist the consequences of piloting, I gain 1 die.
Now, this is only going to... This just reduces the effects, so there's going to be no extra negatives that come out of this one.
So...
This dice roll is going to see how much stress you take on.
Yeah, so this is 4 die, right?
Correct. Roll your die and tell me the highest.
Roll my die and tell you the highest. This is a much nicer roll. I got a 6.
Excellent. So 6 is the highest. You're going to take no stress from this maneuver. You kind of see that happening. You're able to maybe fully drift 360 around and use that momentum to scoop up Algernon and the artifact into the back of the shuttlecraft.
Hell yeah.
I just quietly hear Voel saying that. Hell yeah.
You guys hear me through my spacesuit, because I'm wearing my custom spacesuit. Just you can just faintly hear through our shared comms, "Welcome to the danger zone." And I'm just singing to myself.
Is Kenny Loggins canon in this universe? Because if not, I'm quitting.
Apparently he is now.
On my planet, on the Avali homeworld, they are a superstar and quite famous. We have our own version of it that's, funnily enough, identical to the Earthling version.
It's bizarre.
Spaceway to the danger. No.
Their version of Top Gun actually has a goose playing goose. Yeah.
Alrighty, I think with that, we return the shuttlecraft back up into the koi fish. We're not quite out of the danger yet. The signals and fireworks that's gone off, that massive explosion that has left a hole in the side of the archives, has alerted the local kind of like security patrol craft.
Kentucky's like looking out the window of the shuttle, and it's like, Ark, was it meant to do damage? I thought it was just theatrics.
As they're saying that, I'm just looking at what's left of the koi fish fireworks, and it's kind of moving in like a 2 frame a second sort of movement of just moving the tail back and forth, and I'm just chuckling to myself.
Oh, they're animated now. Charming.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I was always gonna add that in. I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
It's meant to be 4 frames a second, but it's kind of like just jittering from the extra explosion that went off.
Yeah.
It's kind of blurry.
And I kind of looked down at the mess and realized, not that much damage, but maybe I use less gunpowder next time.
I turned back and I'm like, great signal.
Thanks, buddy.
And yeah, as you look back, you can see these extra spacecraft heading straight for you. I think around the time that you get into the koi fish. Now, there is a jump gate nearby that will get you out of this star system and into the next. What's the plan?
Well, that was always our exit plan, wasn't it? Was the jump gate?
The gate. Yeah, of course. But we need you to get to the helm and then head there.
I'm already booking it down. Like I barely park. I barely park the shuttle. Like it's still skittering off when I've like jumped out of it. I'm like, you guys take care of that, and I'm like running to be able to get us to take off.
Yeah, you see like the sparks of the metal just like scraping across the ground of these like the freshly refurbished landing bay.
As Voel bolts away, I'm gonna attempt to assist Kentucky with securing the artifact before going and hopping into a seat as well, back up at the front of the ship.
All right, Kentucky, where's this artifact going?
Yes, right. So, I'm just trying to remember what we settled on with the ship and its things.
The koi fish has the following. You have particle cannons, you have a coherence cannon, crew quarters, the landing bay, the jump drive, a shuttlecraft, shields, and a science bay.
Yes, that's right. The science bay was the one I was thinking of. So we have a science bay, which is probably where Kentucky spends most of his time on the ship, and it does have like a special vault for safely housing artifacts, if I'm not mistaken.
Certainly does. That's Kentucky's specialty.
Excellent. Yes. In which case, I think Kentucky would probably be urging Ark to probably jump to like his post on the bridge to assist Voel in any possible way to get us to the jump gate, because I don't actually know what Voel's like position in the crew is like on the ship, like what he does do besides obviously the pyrotechnics.
What?
Do you mean Ark?
Sorry, not Voel, Ark.
I was like, Vol's the pilot.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Volt drives us.
We've established this.
Did you not hear the Fast and Furious soundtrack?
I haven't shut up
Yes.
about it.
These Xeno species, they all look the same, right? Avian thing, polar bear thing, all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I got their names mixed up, so like, yeah, don't even get me started on how incredibly odd they are.
They're that human. Oh.
Yeah.
One of those humans.
Sorry, yes, Ark is who I was referring to. I'm not sure what Ark usually does.
Ark's more of an all-rounder when it comes to the ship itself.
I assume with your just like your general I guess attunement with the way, like it does help you kind of assist in multiple aspects. So I would think that there might be like a seat for you at the bridge to I don't know, navigate or to help navigate or to keep an eye out, scout or something like that.
Yeah, I'll assist with scouting. Yeah.
Yeah, just because like I think this is like the one thing that Kentucky does really. Like he's probably not going to need assistance when we're trying to escape.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, if I knew that, yeah, I'd happily jump away and yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't touch my ship.
Our ship.
Ark, I think what you see also, the artifact to you, again, same thing. It looks like it should be heavy. It looks like it's made of pure obsidian, but Algernon's able to lift it with ease. Alright, so Algernon, I think you secure that way in the science bay as Ark and Voel head up into the cockpit. Voel, did you want to describe your baby for me?
The cockpit is relatively kind of think like. Have you guys seen the Orville?
Yes, love that show.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm picturing that's what the front cockpit part of my baby looks like. Not as future techy, but like it does have like the two sets of like panels, one at the front, one set at the back. The ones at the back are dedicated towards the weaponry, especially one really big button that says coherence cannon, but spelt wrong. Coherence is spelt wrong. And on the left side of that would be all of the other particle cannon stuff. Whereas at the front is like the only nice chair in here, mind you, is my chair. Because I spent the time to do it. And I've sat, like, that is at the front, in front of the, do we have glass panel screens on the front?
You certainly do.
Yeah, so, like, that is where I am sat. I have the captain's seat. And the rest are all stand-up panels because I didn't give you guys chairs.
As you strap in, you're looking out those beautiful pristine glass windows and just the laser fire of these little fighter ships going across the front bow.
It brings me joy.
It does, and you get little comms coming from Triv going, engines are at, well, the most capacity we can get out of them at the moment, so we are all good to go.
All right, hold on. And I'm just like, immediately thrust forward, off we go.
I'm going to need a helm check out of you here to try and, like, void these little fighter jets as they're just zipping past. And if anyone wants to help, you're more than welcome to.
So, my thought was, as opposed to dodging them, that I was going to be shooting them with the particle cannons. The ones that are in the way, I'm not juking, I am shooting at them to get them to move out of my way, as opposed to me dodging them.
I can do with that. So, well, I mean, Ark, you're up on the bridge as well, so helping in any way?
Yeah, I start pointing out and just keeping an eye out on any of the lasers and other ships in the area, assuming we're dodging them, but very quickly seeing Voel just laughing their butt off as they shoot at him.
I get maniacally laughing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You're kind of scared of the little guy.
It takes me back for a second, then I shrug it off and just keep pointing them out. One way or another, we're getting out of here.
How many dice you got for this one? So you get the +1 from the assist?
Yep. The 2 from the helm.
Yep.
And then I get +1 from Keen Eye.
You definitely do.
Which gives me 1 die when firing ship guns or making trick shots.
Alright, I'm going to give you risky standard on this one.
Can I stress to increase the effect?
You certainly can to push that up to risky great.
So, rolling 4. Alright, come on. Mwah, be good to me. A 4 is my highest.
4 is your highest. Alright, there is a complication.
You are rolling the cube ones, right?
Yeah, I am rolling.
Okay,
I'm not
just making
rolling
sure it wasn't
D2s, I swear.
Just making sure it wasn't the pyramids.
And I'm not mentioning how many of them are ones this time.
Which is none.
I think as this happens, you're a great marksman. You're hitting these things, but as they're flying towards you, I think the debris is just like scattering over the top of the koi fish. So making it a bit harder to see. It's like there's probably smoke in space, right? Little puffs come up and go. There's no sound because it's space, but there's a lot of flashy fireworks, let's say. So you take care of that. There's a little bit of damage to the ship at the moment. We have shields, so that gets negated. And you make your way to the hyper jump. In that time, with those impressive piloting skills, the extra segment of the preparations are done, and you get a bing bing over the comms from Triv saying all the hyperdrive checks are in place. We are ready to jump.
Speaking over the comms, I'm like, buckle up, guys. Because I'm assuming that the hyper jumps are kind of like, again, just going back to Fast and Furious, I don't know what's in my head, but kind of like when they press the NOS and like they enter like hyperspeed in like the first movies.
I'm down with it, so hold on to something is basically the go-to.
Yeah.
You punch it. You do that Star Wars effect, right, where all the lights just start streaking by the window. The ship starts to like shake and vibrate. Algernon, I think all your equipment is just like vibrating on the shelves as you're like holding it in place a bit. The koi fish blasts out of this segment and through the hypergate, away from the Pangata system and to the system of Ket, where you have now completed your job. Well done, guys.
Hell
Woo.
yeah.
Bigger fireworks next time.
You need to start measuring.
As the ship, I think, comes out of that hyperdrive into the less busy space of the Kep system, again, you get a little ping coming over the comms saying, we should probably stop to refuel and supplies. We're getting a little low down here in engineering, so it'd be great if we could top some things up shortly.
Yep, that sounds good to me. And at this point, like, we would have slowed down, and I'd be like, all right, it's safe to not hold on anymore, guys. Feel free to let go.
I'm still hanging on.
Is Voel our captain?
You tell me.
Well, I think
Maybe.
Vol's more the pilot than...
No, he's really not.
I'm just thinking about, like, do we have a captain? Is he an NPC? Is it one of us? I got no idea.
He just acts like he's the captain. Whenever he's piloting, he just yells at people.
Yeah, no, you're obviously... Yeah.
I like to think it's one of those situations where everyone thinks someone else is the captain, but no one's actually said they're the captain.
Yeah. It's one of us three at all times, but we don't know who.
Ah, it's Triv. It's the little fucking koala thing. It's Triv.
Vol, I think looking at your little scanners and stuff, you see the nearest planet to you is the planet of Viren, which is a pretty mid-planet. It's not very crime-based, it's not very wealthy, but it doesn't have a huge contingency of concordant soldiers or Overwatch. So it is a decent place to land, refuel, and just chill out as we move into downtime. Space travel takes a day or two to get there. You come down onto a very much a dusty desert planet. This particular planet has spaces for you to actually land the koi fish. They have like a maintenance yard that will house the koi fish. So in a one-off situation here, you're able to get the koi fish down to planet side, which you would not normally be able to do because it is not rated to be traveling on a planet.
Yeah, that checks out.
With the job completed, we move into the next phases of our game. Going through this before we get into the downtime is a couple little small steps first. The first one being payoff and upkeep. Being the start of the campaign, I'm going to skip the upkeep for this job, so we'll do that next time.
Mm-hmm.
But you will get a payoff. I'm going to give you guys 2 creds towards the crew.
Hell yeah.
Money.
And, of course, you've got the artifact out of this as well.
Yes.
Now, heat. When you perform a job, you gain heat in the various star systems. And heat is kind of like the wanted levels in GTA kind of thing. So once you max out your heat in a particular star system, your wanted level will go up in that star system. For this particular job, it took place in the Pangata system. And the options here I've got to choose from was it a completely quiet mission where other people were blamed? Was it smooth and quiet with low exposure? Was it contained with standard exposure? Was it loud and chaotic with high exposure? Or was it completely wild with devastating exposure?
Pretty sure it was smooth. Very smooth.
Well, yeah.
There was explosions.
No one. So let's flashback the fireworks to be not us, and then like it's stealthy as hell.
Our calling card is just pointing at someone else.
I mean, actually, in saying that, there was a doctor and a sick patient at the fireworks. It could have been anyone.
3 guards too.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this was fairly contained. There was an explosion of the building being wrecked. That's going to get you 2 heat. But however, we'll go into another mechanic of your crew is the spark of rebellion. So if you leave your calling card or a highly visible symbol of resistance on your job, you're going to gain an additional 2 heat.
Hell yeah.
Which you got your calling card of the fireworks and the koi fish. So that's going to be an additional 2 heat. However, during this downtime, you're going to get an extra dice to your vice rolls, which we'll get into in a second, and you cannot overindulge in your vice. So overindulging will generally have negative connotations with it. Because you got your calling card out, you're all good to not worry about overindulging.
Yes.
Cool.
So, each system has 8 points For heat, you are halfway to the first level of being wanted in the Pangata system.
Excellent. Well done, coefficients.
They will never stop us.
We should hit them again. Make sure they know who we are.
Next time I'll be the doctor. Really confuse them.
And I'll be the koi fish.
And the last bit before we go on the downtime is the entanglements roll. This is a little something gets added on the top to add some extra complications into our day-to-day lives. I'm going to need someone to roll a d6 for me.
Not.
Shotgun nut.
Lexi has been doing so well, I think he should do it.
Okay, yeah, actually, let's please. Yeah, give us an example. Give us a reason. Give us a reason to hate you.
Alright. Please.
Makes it too easy.
6.
Oh, man.
We don't want a 6.
Hey, I nailed it. 6.
The one time.
We don't want a 6! Oh!
Wait, 6 is bad?
So, on this particular case, 6 is bad. So,
Yeah.
Yes,
Shit.
he followed through.
No.
alright, so now your entanglements happen in the current system you're in, so that is the KEP system now. You have no wanted level in KEP, so we're rolling on the wanted level 0 table, and a 6 means we get to re-roll next highest wanted level. So can I get another dice roll, please?
Is Lexi doing this one again?
Can someone else roll it so it's their fault?
Okay, I'll take the heat. Jeez. 5?
5. Reprisals.
Dun dun dun.
In reprisals, an enemy faction moves against you or yours. Pay them 1 credit per tier, allowing them to mess with you or fight back. If you have no faction with negative statuses, you avoid entanglements right now.
Oh, cool. We're obviously loved by everyone. So.
Yeah, everyone loves us.
Yay.
We say that, but that is definitely not true.
Oh, well.
Not yay.
Like the Concordat are our best friends. We didn't just rob them or nothing. Right?
Wait, we stole that?
Did we?
We're just a space repossession company. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just double checking our statuses. Based on the job you just did, because that was against the Concordant, you do now have 1 less status against
That is
them.
true. Yeah. They don't like us taking their shit.
I'm going to sit on that, so that will come up during downtime.
Oh. I was so happy I rolled a 6 and it was bad.
I was happy to until he explained it.
I was hoping for a second 6, then we go up an extra level.
I was worried because when I saw it was a 5, I was like, oh wait, no, height isn't good, is it? Oh no.
As the crew of the Koi Fish land on the planet of Viren, we enter into our downtime phase. Downtime is a chance for you to rest, recuperate, have a bit of role play sessions as well. There is a set list of activities you can perform, and everyone gets to do 2 downtime activities. If you want to do additional ones, that's going to start costing you credits. The list of activities we have is acquiring an asset, obtaining either a thing, a vehicle, a special item, reaching out for contractors, or the likes. If you are trying to build something, you might have a crafting role that lets you study schematics and build stuff. You can indulge in your vice, which is a way to reduce some of the stress that you've accumulated on your travels. You can attempt to lay low in the system you're in, which probably won't apply here because you're not currently wanted. But if you're in a system where you have a lot of heat, you might want to lay low for a bit to reduce some of that heat. If you are working on a long-term project, you can do that here. You can take time to recover and start filling in your healing clock to try and reduce any injuries you may have taken, or do some repairs to the ship, and lastly train. So if you wanted to do some training to gain additional experience points, you can also do that as part of your downtime activities. So with that, who would like to kick us off with their downtime?
Can I confirm, because I don't, because it's not all on the character sheet yet, but I believe you did write things down for when we were creating our characters, because I actually cannot remember which vice I picked in the end.
Alrighty. But Algernon, your vice is the weird.
Okay, so that is more to do with stuff with the artifacts and that, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, well then I think, indulging my vice might involve studying this new artifact that acquired by less than legal means. That'll be one of the first things I do, I think.
Well, we'll start with yourself. So, in your science bay, or do you think you'll go out and find assistance with that?
I think I will have it in my science bay, that's fine. I am quite Kentucky's personally fascinated with these precursor artifacts. It took a lot of discipline to not start to keep his eyes up when he was fleeing the archives and not just looking this thing over as he was running away. So he's been dying to study it. So he's probably already started, to be honest. He's probably over the last couple of days, but I guess mechanically it resolves at this point.
Definitely. Now, this is your lowest attribute rating, so which I believe is for you prowess with 1.
Mm-hmm. So before I actually resolve the vice itself to see how much stress I get back, can I actually study the artifact? Because I do have one of my Stitch's abilities is to ask a specific question when studying an artifact. I can ask either what could this do or why could this be dangerous.
Let's get the dice roll out of the way so you can clear your stress, then we can answer your question.
Okay. All right. So you're saying that we get an extra dice because of our calling card.
You definitely do, so roll both and take the highest result.
Oh, right. Okay. So the lowest. So I would have started with only 1 because I have prowess of 1, whereas I've got.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I see what you mean. Yep. Okay. Oh, excellent. 6, and it's a good thing because that would have been an overindulgence otherwise.
Excellent. So how many stress did you have?
I had 5.
Alright, so yes, in this case, you would have overindulged in your vice, which has some negative things, but because you got your calling card off, that does not happen. So you may clear all of your stress.
Excellent.
As you're studying this, it is a strange artifact, a thing that has no weight, but is still affected by gravity. Is strange. Doesn't make sense. Now, what question did you want to ask about the artifact?
Okay. I don't have to roll study for this? Sorry, I was looking at the character sheet. It looks like it's bolded the word study, so I assumed.
When you study an artifact or doctor a strange substance, yes, this would be a dice roll.
Okay.
Again, there's no so there's going to be no negatives. This one, it'll be just how much information I give you.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, just rolled a 4 for that one.
A 4. Cool.
And yeah, so the question, I think I'd be more interested in what it can do than why it would be dangerous. I guess from personal curiosity.
As you're studying this, you're running tests on it. You've got, I don't know, whatever, a mass spectrometer piece of equipment to look at its chemical makeup. At one point, you do a test where you put a bit of an electric current through it to see if maybe it's a powered thing, and one side of it twists, as like a Rubik's Cube would do. And then as that happens, I've got a question for Ark. Where would you be at this time?
During the downtime, at some point I would have attempted to heal my wounds, but also probably be out in the landing bay training / practicing something a little bit.
Ark, you're very attuned with the way.
Mm-hmm.
While you're in the landing bay, you get this strong urge to migrate to the science bay.
So yeah, as I'm in the landing bay, Trill's kind of just watching me, staring at my hands, just whispering to myself, left, 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 and then suddenly I look up and then kind of have the urge to go towards the science bay and head that way.
Was it to his left?
Sorry?
I think he's just trying to figure out which hand is left.
Yes, Ark was trying to figure out which way's left.
Yeah, I know. But what? But did it happen to be to the left? Because that would be.
Yeah.
That'd be very strange. Yes.
Yeah, you're saying left, and then you just turn to the left and start walking towards the science bay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, yeah.
Algernon, as this happens, you see Ark walk in, just seems to be, Ark, you want to be in the space that this artifact is taking up. So you just got this weird, natural instinct to be in that space.
Does he say anything or?
I wouldn't really say anything. I'd probably give myself more give into the way, so to speak, and just kind of lean into it and not really say much or anything at all at this point.
As he gets closer and closer to the artifact, I go from calmly calling his name to starting to freak out and try and physically stop him.
You do see me with a partial smile on my face as well.
Ark! I feel I'm unable to move him physically. I, as a last resort, look back to the artifact and switch off the current.
And then as soon as that current switches off, Ark, you no longer have that draw.
I kind of just snap out of it and just shake my head a little bit and then go back to kind of looking at my hands, still trying to figure out left, and then look up and be like, where the hell? When did we move the landing bay?
And with that, Algernon, you get the impression that this is some kind of migratory homing beacon.
Interesting. Like, is my impression that it's of Yuguars or it's of people sensitive to the way?
You're not sure. This is old tech. This is like from the before times. But you know it's attracting things to it. So it is a beacon of sorts.
Right. Okay. Do we have any other Yuguars in our crew?
We do not.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I mean, Kentucky would be, I guess, asking Ark some questions initially. It's like, do you have any recollection of walking into the science bay? Do you know what you were doing?
No. I was just training down the landing bay. Why am I here anyway? Did you need me for something?
No. Never mind. As you were.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to looking at my hands and then kind of walk out.
And yeah, Ark leaves out.
And yeah, that's been it. Cool. All right. Kentucky is obviously quite fascinated with this artifact. The hardest part is letting go.
Alright, so that's our first downtime activity. Who would like to go next?
Do you tell Voel about like what happened with his artifact?
I mean, like, I'm sure at some point during our downtime, I'd definitely be, giddy and explaining my findings, or at least my hypotheses with some of the crew. Definitely you two, seeing as Ark was involved.
So can Voel spend some of his downtime just pushing the on button for the thing to like make Ark go in and then stop it, and then as he walks away, press it again, and then just keep doing that for a bit?
I feel as in my station, I probably would not abide that for more than like 2 seconds.
Come on, it's funny. He doesn't know what's happening. Look at him. Watch. Better press it.
Huh? Huh?
Left.
At some point, Ark just finds a wall and just starts bouncing off it, like bumpering off the wall. Like, oh, can't go this way.
Yeah,
Can't go this way.
like it's experimenting. I put stuff in between him to see if he walks around the stuff or if he walks into it.
I try to walk through whatever he puts in front of me.
I slap his like. Do you have hands or like talons? Or
Yeah. I got full.
No. I meant
sorry.
Voel.
No, me.
Yeah. Like, do you have
Yeah,
wings?
yeah.
Yeah. I slap your talon away. I was like, you could very well be giving him brain damage every time you switch that on.
And I push it again.
Oh my god. Alright. I shuffle him the fuck out. Like, no, that lasts all of 10 seconds. That is not happening.
I saved you guys.
Vol, would this be your downtime activity for indulging a vice?
Touching your vice.
Honestly, yeah, because my vice is pleasure. I would have had great fun doing that.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
How much stress do you have at the moment?
4.
4, alrighty. So you've got, I think your lowest attribute is Insight with 1.
That's correct.
And you get a +1 from your calling card. So give me your vice roll.
Alright, I rolled 2 3s.
Alright, so you can clear off 3 stress.
Bam. And the stress is gone.
Alright, Ark, what are you doing for your first downtime activity?
Yeah, can I get a quick run through again of what I can potentially do? Because I have a terrible memory.
He goes into the lab and starts pushing the button himself. Like, this is fun.
You can. Generally, indulging a vice is something that's good you might want to do. At the moment, there's no negative consequences for not indulging your vice during a downtime activity.
Mm-hmm.
When you start taking on traumas, so if you take too much stress, you gain a trauma.
Okay.
When you have trauma, you'll start getting negative effects to not indulging your vice.
Okay. What Ark will do is definitely recover. So to remove all level 1 harm. Do I need to also roll the additional things associated with that?
I think that's just for the healing clock,
Cool. All right.
which you don't need.
Sweet. Yep. Oh, perfect. So I'll remove that.
Can clear that. Are you doing this yourself? Are you asking a crew member to help, or are you going out to get this done?
I'd assume that during one of my 26 visits to the science bay, I'd probably talk to Kentucky about it somewhat. Just get an idea how to just stitch up some of these wounds and things like that.
So what happened to you? Sorry, I didn't actually catch what harmed you.
Effectively, just while I was moving the payload to that second spot, took a bit of fire. They kind of noticed I was around. Dodged some of it, but
Yeah, okay.
it happens, you know.
You see, like, just on, like, an elbow or something, there's, like, grazed blaster marks on Ark's arm.
Bit of singed fur.
Kind of just dig into fur.
Well, Kentucky would would probably. I mean, I guess it's just like some standard like gauze and bandages because it's just some graze some blaster like laser burn, right? So it's not too bad. And he actually like just gives you a spare roll
Cool.
for your quarters because he's very much aware that you're probably going to get these little scrapes now and then with how often you're playing with explosive things and getting in gunfire. I can't imagine it'll be the last time. And I just assume just because it's like level 1 harm damage that gets removed immediately on a recover from now on, patch himself up for these little things.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, just to like give him a little more agency so he doesn't have to come into the clinic 20 times.
Sweet. That I know of.
That he's aware of, yes.
Hit the switch, 21.
Light goes on, light goes off, light goes on, light goes off. Other than that, I will probably attempt to train a bit as well. I feel like my stress isn't too high at the moment, quite low. Pretty fine with it at the moment. Now, it says Mark 1 XP for an attribute or your playbook. Now, when it says attribute, that would be the individual items within Insight, Prowess, and Resolve, or would that be Insight, Prowess, and Resolve?
One of those three. So you can either mark one experience insight,
Okay.
one inside prowess, one in resolve, or one on your playbook. So one of those four.
Based on how well that koi fish firework went off, and I do want to improve it, I'm going to put 1 point into Insight.
What does this training look like?
I'm kind of mucking around with more leftover parts and things like that, just trying to correct what I potentially did wrong, trying to make it so I get more than 2 frames a second, actually getting the koi fish to move a bit more, and when no one's looking, probably muck around with a little bit of gunpowder, but not enough to do more than singe my fur a little bit extra if I need to, and now that I'm able to heal myself up. Yeah, mostly just making, like, double checking what I did and improving upon that.
Sweet. Yeah, I think you do that. I think maybe part of this is you got to head out to make a local scrapyard to get a few extra parts. Triv and Troll needed to go out to get some things for the ship.
Mhm.
So maybe you've gone out for a quick scrapyard run to pick up a few things to then come back and experiment with.
Oh yeah.
Viren isn't the most affluent planet in the system.
Mhm.
As you walk down the main street, you're seeing posters on walls that have, you know how like you've seen them down the street, there's been a poster, someone's torn it down and stuck another poster over the top, and it gets this like layered effect of posters. It's like some of the like buildings have just got this kind of like shell of posters on them. The more recent ones you see, there's a promotion for an underground like rave thing called the Black Inix, which is like a techno hacker rave that's being hosted in one of the neighboring star systems. There's clear propaganda posters for calling for citizens to enroll in the Concordant Knights. There's a few cosmetic advertisements that are like boasting a new formula for foundations that make you look youthful and giving you glimmering eyeliners. And they kind of seem like out of touch for this kind of area. It's like you'd expect those to be posters for like rich people. As you're looking around, like the local populace, it's alleyways that have like makeshift shelters in them. The buildings here are kind of shipping containers that's been recycled into buildings, like they've been stacked together and reused. Some buildings are actually made of stone. It's a bit of a mix. The term for this one is the caxel, which is the species that Triv and Trell are. You see a caxel lady running around with deep green fur, showing like a photo to passerbys, asking if they've seen this person in the photo. Do you see a small patrol of like Concordant Knights, which is the military arm, patrolling around, just moving local drunkards out from the main thoroughfare, into these kind of like side streets out the way. And it's kind of got like a bit of like dreary vibe to it as you're walking past. As you're going past one of them, you kind of like hear talks of rebels in the area, and that one of the knights is talking about how they've got some ship cornered somewhere in another system, and that, they're going to take out the rebel scum at some point. And you kind of just like keep your head down a bit and just mosey on down into the scrapyards to go get your stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
You find some things, bring it back, continue on with your training.
Cool. When I do get back, I'll go and let them know about what I'm hearing from the local guards and things like that, and we should be aware. I'll have a heads up about what may be closing in on us, but not quite. Or we've successfully sort of like messed with them.
The vibe you got was They weren't talking about you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just assumed that if it might be us, we should know. But yeah, I'm assuming I'd also get corrected by Voel of like, nah, there's no way they can catch us.
No one can catch us.
There you go.
And with that segue, Vol, what would you like to do for your second downtime activity?
Did the ship take much in the way of damage, or is it all like superficial?
It was superficial damage. There was no like actual mark damage on the ship. Your wonderful mechanics driven trail patching that up for you.
Oh, thanks, guys. So I don't need to help them. In that case...
Classic Voel.
What? I did my job. We made it out alive.
Uh-huh.
You guys nearly didn't, but we're not going to talk about that. In that case, I will probably take the opportunity to train, to build up my prowess a little bit by spending my time trying to sneak my way into the science lab so I can push the button so I could get Ark back into the science lab over and over and over again, and trying to dodge Kentucky as he kicks me out over and over and over again, and using that to train my skulk.
That's beautifully terrifying.
Clearly, Algernon, it's not working every time. You can just hear the clatter of his talons on the metal of the ship each time he sneaks in.
Refuses to wear shoes.
I will not hide these beautiful talons. One time I paint myself in camo in our steel ship. It doesn't work.
Algernon walks past some crates, and Vol's just like stuck to it, but noticeably stuck. I'm invisible.
Metal Gear Solid, just like anytime he turns around, I get a cardboard box and I climb under it.
And yeah, as the box moves, it's tack 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 tack.
A couple of times you let me get close, and then you stop me.
Is it possible to get anti-experience?
All right, Val. Feel free to mark that point of experience into your training, and then I think that brings us back around to Algernon. Anything you'd like to do for your last downtime?
Yeah, just looking through the options here, and like I was thinking I might train, but also I was thinking maybe working on a long-term project. I was looking through the rule book as to what that looks like, and it does say, an extended study of this artifact, for example, would definitely qualify as a long-term project. So I guess since I'm pretty much stuck defending the damn artifact from Vol anyway, I'll probably be spending most of my time continuing to overindulge with no consequence, I guess. Not very often I get to spend this much time, like with unrestricted access to an artifact, and I know that I won't have that much time. So
Cool. That sounds fine to me. So we'll start I think this will be an 8-segment clock because this is a very complex thing. And what do we got? Let's make a roll for this one. So a study roll.
and it's is a study roll. Okay, and excellent. Got a 6.
So that's a 6. I'm going to mark off 3 segments of your project clock. So when you research fields of study, you always handle precursor artifacts safely. When you study an artifact, a strange substance, you may ask one question.
Yes. So you're saying that I can ask the other questions? What you? Yeah, might as well. Seeing as I'm already rolling study. Yeah.
Why would this be dangerous? The main thing is it's a beacon. You saw that tether and pull that was on Ark before just to be in this space. You only applied a small amount of power to it. If you were able to boost that strength, could that drag more things to this space? And I think that's where its danger is. It's like there's no control in getting to that space. Like it just happened.
Okay. Cool. I mean, there's something to test next downtime.
Definitely. And like I said, you got this long-term project to try and gather more information about it. Like, why would you want something like this? Where would that be useful? Who made it?
Yes. Cool. All right.
All right, so I think in our downtime here, while we're on the planet, I'm assuming you guys aren't spending just all your planet side time on the ship. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, we'd definitely be going around here and there.
I'd probably spend most of it in the ship, but
Nerd.
maybe like we'll go out for like one night for a drink or something.
I think you find a local tavern, local bar, you've set yourselves up to get a drink, and as you're having this drink, a bunch of concordant knights come into the bar and start searching around. They seem to be looking for people in particular. How would you handle this situation?
Do we recognize any of these guys from the asteroid?
No, these are completely new people. They seem to be like fresh faces. They weren't from the archives.
Fresh faces and like new cadets.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, which can be a dangerous situation if they're trying to prove themselves quickly. Ark, you probably can recall that you've overheard conversations of them potentially having more cornering or capturing more resistance people.
And do these look like the guards that I passed, or just additional concordant guards from around the way?
I'm going to roll a luck dice here to see.
Ooh.
I think one of them is you recognize as one of the soldiers that you passed in the street.
Okay. I can kind of lean into the group and just point out that they've heard rumblings. I mean, again, reiterating what I mentioned earlier, but also kind of pointing out we could use that to our advantage and kind of lead them in the opposite direction. That helps.
You could.
Leading them in the opposite direction.
Well, kind of lead them away from us, so to speak, towards where their inclinations are already heading.
Well, hang on. If they're hunting down our fellow rebels, I don't want to push them towards them. These are our people.
Wait, are they not hunting us? I assume they're hunting us, but they've gotten it slightly wrong. Or am I?
It's just, I think, rebels in general, right?
Yeah, we're part of a larger rebel force. Is that
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that. Sorry, I thought it was more after us kind of thing.
No, so sorry, I might have missed on that one. The impression you got from your murmurings was they have cornered some rebels in another system, and they were kind of like boasting about it.
Oh, okay.
But they don't seem to be after you specifically. You don't seem to think they've noticed you as rebels.
Okay, guys, hear me out.
I'm in.
Let's make friends,
I'm out.
get them real drunk, and then find out where these other rebels they've cornered are, so we can help them. Go like full liberator.
I'm up for that.
Yeah, quite.
So is that unanimous agreement?
I think so.
I will stand up on my seat with my flagon or whatever I'm drinking, of Phyrexian land ale, and just call out, "Greetings, Concordat friends! Come, sit, join us! What are you drinking? He'll buy it for you." And I point at Ark.
I'm looking at my hands again.
Left is this one. I point at your right hand.
Okay. And I give him a thumbs up, being like, "Yeah, come join us."
The soldiers walk over and they're like, "Well, now this is fine citizens who clearly respect what we do around here. And if the tab is on our friend here, let's get some of that. Let's go that Villainy whiskey. I'm sure we can take a few minutes off, right, boys?" And the bartender pours some glasses of this really deep brown coloured whiskey.
Oh, one more for me too, barkeep. Thanks, Ark.
As they bring some of that whiskey down without even thinking, I'm just going to reach for it and just drink like all of it in a single gulp.
Okay.
And I'll be like, "Oh, damn, that was a good choice."
Interesting.
It is a very rough whiskey.
I just whispered into Ark's ears, like, you do realize you just downed a quart of what is essentially jet fuel.
I'll be honest, I couldn't taste a thing anyway.
He didn't taste a thing, but you can definitely smell it on his breath as he speaks back to you.
When we get back to the ship, breathe into the fuel tank. We'll need it.
As a part of what we're attempting with these guards, could I use a consort action to kind of ply them for more information through the use of more drinks and effectively revelry?
I think that's a acceptable thing to do. We can make a roll for that. If anyone would like to find a way to help, you more certainly can.
Oh yeah, I will constantly be trying. Like, anytime I see them with their drinks empty, being like, "Bartender, we need another one, another." Keep just making sure they are constantly drinking while he is trying to sweet talk them.
Sweet.
Mark a stress for that, so you get an extra dice to this, and if you want, you still have a gambit.
We'll hang on to that. But yeah, let's go for it. Ooh. So what did 2 6s do again?
Alright, so 2 6s is a critical success.
Does a 1 affect them though? Because I got 2 6s and a 1.
Nope, doesn't cancel out, it's just the 6s.
Okay, cool.
Now, also, I didn't tell you what the effects were. I'm going to say this was going to be a controlled standard roll. because you are in control. And with that extra 6, it's going to make it a great effect. So you're going to get lots more out of this. These guys they are fresh recruits, and they do not know how to hold their liquor.
Classic.
2 drinks in, they are nearly done. And they are just spurting pretty much anything and everything. So if there's any questions you want, now's your time to ask. As they're like slurring their words, they're like, you know what? We got those rebel bastards. They're in the asteroids. They're not gonna last long. I can tell you that now.
The what asteroids?
Asteroid fields. The one in Skelemus. Skelemus. And you know he's slurring his words here, and he's actually probably referring to the Solaris system.
Oh, those. Solaris. I'll kind of just like be on their side and be like, oh, those idiots got stuck there.
Scleris.
Morons.
And yeah, you'll notice that there's a massive asteroid belt that actually circles the sun in the Solaris system. Yeah, they're not going to last long, those twips. They got something and we'll get it back.
Ooh, what'd they get?
They thought they'd get a signal out, didn't they? But no, we cut that shit off.
Those cheeky bastards. Specifically where? Like, that asteroid belt is huge, isn't it?
Massive, but you know, you've heard of it? Have you heard of the what's that ship called? You know, the fast one, the Centennial Hawk. Can't fucking miss it. I don't know how they can hide in that asteroid field. Voel, this one might resonate with you of something you've probably heard of before. The Centennial Hawk. It's a very fast smuggler ship.
Centennial Hawk. I just got that. How many parsecs? Tell me.
Don't be crazy. Parsecs are they're a measurement of distance.
This drunk knight is fucking astrophysics better than
Kilonewtons. Oh, now that's some fast shit.
We're measuring our newtons in the kilos now. I see.
This goes on. You drink for a bit. Like again, lightweights. They are under the table in no time.
Are they like unconscious under the table?
Close to it, I reckon.
I don't trust it yet. I don't trust it enough to try and check their pockets. I need them to be out before I try and rob them.
I think at some point they kind of like the bartender starts to cut them off as well because they don't want trouble here. You do have information about potential rebels that could need assistance in the Solaris system.
Well, it was good hanging out with you guys. You have a great rest of your evening. You guys chill here, have some fun. I'm just gonna head over to the barkeep and cover the tab for you guys, and I'll see you later. And I turn to Ark and Kentucky. I'm like, head back to the ship.
Yeah.
All right, and I think you guys are able to sneak out there without paying the tab, leaving it for the guys to pay when they sober up.
Yeah, I was gonna tell the barkeep that the guards offered to pay for the tab.
Sleepy rascals.
Beautiful. Beautifully done, boys.
And you haul ass out of there. With that, do we think we'll go up and help our rebel friends?
Shouldn't be too hard to find them from what we've heard.
Okay, cool. Okay, in that case, yeah. Kentucky is very much all for helping out fellow rebels. Sounds like a good time. Absolutely.
The crew of the coveted koi fish reconvene, blast off back out through the atmosphere. We will continue this next time with a bit of search and rescue, but before we end tonight's sessions, I'm going to get the engagement roll to start off the next job. I'm going to give you an advantage to this roll because you were able to get some information about it. So could I get someone to make a dice roll with 2d6?
I think our resident polar bear, who generously paid the tab, should be allowed to roll this dice.
Sure. Cool. All right, 2d6. 6 and a 3.
All right, so that is a good result. You're going to be starting in a controlled position, and we'll find out what that is next time.
Excellent. We got
Hell
this.
yeah. We are the greatest.
We cannot be tamed. Ever.
At the end of every session, we will go through and ask some questions about your character and how you went, and mark some XP. So the very first one is anytime you make a desperate action roll, to mark XP in that action's attribute, which we've already done.
Mm-hmm.
The next one will go through each person's character and ask them questions because they are slightly different for each person's playbook. Let's start with Voel.
Yo, that's me.
Alright, so your first one is, did you address a tough challenge with speed or flair?
I think I did when we Tokyo drifted our friends off the side of the building.
Alright, so for that question, you can mark 1 experience point in either your playbook or one of your 3 attributes.
Yep.
Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background this session?
No.
Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during this session?
No.
Rightio, so that's your 3 questions for your playbook. So for next time, if you do decide to go down those routes, you can get yourself some extra XP.
Good to know.
Algernon,
Yes.
your question is, did you address a tough challenge with insight or compassion?
I would argue yes for insight at the very least. I feel like having to gauge that office worker's little Napoleon complex to see him as a mark for the security pass counts as having insight.
That works. Definitely mark an experience point. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background this session?
Yeah, I would say my drive for and now I just want to confirm, drive is not a specific thing that's written down in the character sheet. It's just like actually the drive of my character, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Then yes, I'd say that I definitely expressed my drive to better understand the precursor artifacts by essentially, locking myself in the science bay for most of the session.
Grab yourself an extra XP then. And lucky last question is, did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during this session?
The struggle with vice or traumas. I don't have any traumas. My vice is weird, and I didn't have any downsides because of the calling cards. So, no, I would say not.
Alright, lucky last arc.
Yes.
Your question is, did you address a tough challenge with wisdom or the way?
I mean, I did directly utilize the way with that kinetics ability when we got sort of cornered in that corridor. Would that be enough to constitute a tough challenge, getting us out of that situation?
I think it would. Mark an XP for that. Now, did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I don't think specifically. I think beliefs most likely not. Heritage, no. Possibly background with the way I was sort of utilizing the equipment and tech and goods both for the payload, for the calling card as well as the satellites. I mean, I'd probably want your ruling on that, whether that would constitute utilizing my background
Well, this is more like a group discussion, this isn't just my ruling.
for that.
Well, what's your background?
Labor.
So more of like a laborer, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, the fact that you were quite hands-on and that you were kind of piece together this piecemeal satellite
Mm.
because you grew up as a blue-collar worker. I guess that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Go for it. Mark an XP.
Cool. Awesome. Done.
And lucky last question is, did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas?
I didn't even touch on my vice during that, and trauma's nothing yet, no.
Cool. On top of that, you gain XP for your crew as well. So there are 4 questions for your crew. The first one is, did you execute a successful job that opposes the Concordant?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Played victory music and everything.
So I will mark that on your crew sheet. Alright, did you contend with challenges above your current station?
What does that mean exactly?
I'm going to say probably no for this one. Oh, no. So this would be generally going up against factions that are a higher status than you. And actually, thinking on that, I'm going to say yes, because you did have that altercation with the knights at the end. And they are definitely a higher station than you.
I mean, maybe not anymore now that they're bankrupt, but you know,
See, I told you. Getting drunk is always a good idea in video games.
it's an equalizer.
It's good for me because now I've got extra things to bring back in the future session.
We're going to run into them again. They're like, hey, drinking buddies.
So next one, did you bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one?
Does gaining heat count?
We are the koi fish.
Your reputation was unpredictable.
That is right, and I feel like, yeah, that kind of did pan out in the end, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because we ended up exploding part of the building with a calling card, and I scolded 3 guys. Also, fucking Voel did that like 360 whip round thing. That was pretty neat.
Alright, I'm going to mark that as an XP. And lucky last, did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew?
Essential nature, I think, was 100% a tick.
Yeah, does it count with me messing with Ark the whole time?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I was definitely messing with his inner nature of Dway by pushing the button that called him into the middle
Very
of
much
the beacon.
Excellent. Oh, in that case, you've got 4 experience points for your crew sheet,
Hell yeah.
which I think puts you about halfway. Yeah, halfway to the next level in your crew.
What does that get us again?
So when you gain enough experience points on your, in this case, playbooks, be it your crew playbook or your personal playbooks, you can cash that XP in for additional abilities.
Yes, right.
And in the case of your personal playbooks, if you gain experience in your attributes, you can then up your action dice and gain extra dice for the various actions.
Yep.
And that's it. I think we're done.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Dark Cosmos is a placeholder NPCs podcast, with Algernon Blue, aka Kentucky, as played by Sam, Ark Ferris, aka Rook, as played by Deshaun, Voel Burung, aka Demon, as played by Lex, and the role of Game Master, as played by Xeno. Music and sound effects are provided by FesleyandStudios.com. And on behalf of everyone here, you have our sincere gratitude for taking the time to enjoy our podcast.